If you had gone up to me a few months ago and asked me, hey, how do you feel about JJK? I would have probably slapped you in the back of the head and told you, I don't watch that gooner shit. And to be fair, I did have a bit of a point. The fact of the matter is that ever since JJK started getting popular, especially around the TikTok audiences, where I was growing up and in my school, all I heard about JJK was just Gojo all the fucking time. It was just, oh my god, Gojo! It was just every single girl I would ever meet or talk to, or not every single one, but you know, most of them would just be gushing and throwing their panties around about Gojo. The few times I saw anything about JJK, it was just Gojo shit, or some sort of thirst trap with Choso or any other characters. And due to that being my first exposure to the anime and the manga, I guess you can say, and that being the sentiment around it that I found at the time, I did have a hatred for it. I frankly did not care for it. I barely even looked at any of the animation, any of the actual good qualities the anime itself had. That was until, like I mentioned a few months ago, where a friend of mine urged me to please sit down and watch JJK. So I did. I sat down, I watched all of the available content we've had so far, and I can confidently say, I fucking love this shit. JJK is an amazing series, and I kick myself in the head for not watching it sooner. Obviously, the writing of it isn't perfect. There is a few ass pulls every now and then, but what is an anime without ass pulls? I'd say that's no anime at all. But to be fair, I struggle to find anything quite like JJK. An anime that not only has such incredible action, I mean, let's be honest, it's top tier animation. There isn't quite anything that gets close to it, but also the way it designs abilities and powers and goes to such a ludicrous extent to just explain every little minute detail. It scratches a part of my brain that just, it's amazing. Now, I'm not here to talk about the LARP epidemic or how 80% of JJK fans can't even read. I am actually going to talk about something that surprised me to find out right after watching this anime, and that is the fact that we really just don't have a good Jujutsu Kaisen game. Now, that's not to say we don't have Jujutsu Kaisen games, because here's the thing. We have a few mobile games, mainly being one called Phantom Parade, which is extremely popular with gacha enjoyers, but hey, I am the certified #1 gacha hater. I hate every single gacha game. I mean shit, even when it's DMC, especially when it's DMC, I fucking hate gacha games. Still, like, rest in peace, Pinnacle of Combat. You would have been so fucking good. Aside from Phantom Parade, there is a new JJK game coming out for mobile called JJK Survivathon, I think. It honestly does not look like my type of game. Maybe some of you will enjoy it. I did see one guy saying it was, oh, we're finally getting a good JJK game, but in my humble opinion, this is not that. And then, I want to move on to what I think is the biggest official JJK game, and unfortunately it is, Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash, which you might have been seeing gameplay of during this video. Now, I thankfully did not have to buy this game because my two dumbass friends already bought it for me. Well, they didn't buy it for me, but you know, PlayStation, game sharing. And all three of us played it. We've played quite a bit of it. I've played almost every single character. I've gone in depth with the mechanics, as in depth as you can go with these shitty ass mechanics. I played a little bit of the story, and I can confidently say, this shit is trash! This game is embarrassing. Honestly, this game feels like a money laundering scheme from Namco. The average just anime slop game they release every few years just to, you know, cover the tax bills. It's insane to me that this game came out for a franchise as esteemed and popular as JJK. It is ridiculous. No, I'm not gonna go into depth as to why Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash is a trash game. I am sure there are better videos explaining and going into more depth than I ever could. But just to make it simple, the graphics are not amazing for a franchise this big. The animations on a lot of the super moves are extremely rigid and awkward. The netcode is horrible. I mean, this shit is UMBC 3 levels, a game that came out almost 17 years ago. It is ridiculous to me that in this day and age we are having combat games, maybe not fighting games, but combat games with this horrible a netcode. And finally, the gameplay itself. The combat is just horrible. It simply is. It is extremely restrictive, not letting you do what you like to do. The only ways you can deal damage to enemies is with very specific attacks, which boils down to you can only take damage away by doing either the standard mash square combo, ability 1, ability 2, or super. That's literally it. You only and that's homogenized throughout almost every single character of the game. Yes, there's different archetypes, but there's not enough variety to make you feel like you're having fun in the game. It is an extremely restrictive, poorly executed, poorly I guess you could say developed in terms of the internet network, and just overall a shitty game. It's only fun with friends, but dude, you can literally just sit and watch paint dry with friends, and if you have the right friends, it will be fun. This isn't anything special. I honestly feel bad for my friends for even spending any money on this dog shit you call a game. And it is insane to me that, like, again, I sound like a broken record, but it is such a stupid idea when you have something like Dragon Ball, which, let me make clear, I am not trying to say Dragon Ball is on JJK levels. It might be, at least getting close to it. Dragon Ball it's in a tier of its own. But you can have things like Dragon Ball have so many fucking games just back to back, so many opportunities to make great properties out of it, and then you have something like JJK and it is getting spat, shat, and slapped on. It is actually ridiculous to me. Now, we are about 6 minutes into this video, and if you know anything about JJK games, you might be, asking yourself, why am I not addressing it? The elephant in the room. Jujutsu Shenanigans. And yes, I have played it. Now, I'm going to be the first to say, I am not the biggest fan of this game. And that is, I would say, not to a fault of its own. I actually don't think it's the game's fault. In fact, I think Jujutsu Shenanigans shows us that a JJK game could work with enough budget, care, and time put into it. It is the perfect blueprint, in my opinion, to what could be an amazing official game about JJK. The issue I have with Jujutsu Shenanigans is, as derogative as it sounds, the fact that it's a Roblox game. Now, that's not to say Roblox games can't be good, because that is just ridiculous in my opinion. Roblox is a game that platform at its core at this point. Now, whether some people use it for good or bad, that's up to them. But in the case of Jujutsu Shenanigans, you can tell the developer had a lot of passion for it, and it shines. The game is really fun when it gets to work. But unfortunately, it does suffer from, shitty servers, the shitty Roblox community, the shitty monetization that comes with a Roblox game. All of those things just bring it down quite a notch for me. And also the fact that it's a Battlegrounds game, which, if you know anything about Battlegrounds games compared to real fighting games, the depth is an ocean and a puddle, and it is not in Jujutsu Shenanigans' favor. It is honestly a bit sad to me, because this game has so much potential. You can just tell that if the franchise itself got behind it, if there was more added onto it, if the money was there, you could get an absolutely generational game. The reason why I think this is because, what I mentioned at the beginning, there is nothing quite like Jujutsu Kaisen. There is no other world with so many abilities, so many colorful and just charismatic characters, and so much potential for any type of fight to go out. Now, I have seen some people mention the idea of a 2D fighting game, a la, Dragon Ball FighterZ, or Guilty Gear, or Street Fighter. But while it could work, frankly, if they did it with, like I mentioned, enough passion, if they put enough detail into it, it could work. But it would never capture the essence of Jujutsu Kaisen. I honestly think it is nearly impossible to make a Jujutsu Kaisen game in that 2D format. It would have to be, in my opinion, either an arena fighter or a platform fighter. And a platform fighter is stretching it quite a bit. But seeing what they did with characters like Hero and Persona, Joker, and Smash, and Steve, these characters that have a lot of abilities and underlying tools they can use in a big sandbox arena, makes me think you could possibly make it work into the platform fighter genre. I digress though. You need to put the money and time into an actual, real JJK game. Give us a good live service experience, and I guarantee you, dude, this game would make millions, if not billions, because there is a bunch of people clamoring for it. The player numbers for Jujutsu Shenanigans prove it alone. Now, would it stand the test of time? I wouldn't be able to tell you. Maybe it would, because JJK is just such a big franchise, but hey, look at Invincible Versus. Invincible right now is an insanely large IP, and while Invincible Versus isn't dead or anything, it's definitely lost a lot of its luster from the launch days. Though that is normal, it's still something that puts into perspective the amount of money it would take to build an actually good JJK game that lives up to the expectations and to the potential that JJK itself has as a property. It would require too much money, and it would really make the execs at the top think if it's worth it, if it doesn't have the same amount of numbers they might be projecting. And you know, that is sad to think about, but I still think it is a possibility. Again, JJS is an amazing blueprint that is held back by its foundation, and it is absolutely ridiculous to me that no company and no development team has looked at the gold mine that is the Jujutsu Kaisen franchise and made a generational fighting game out of it. Honestly, I wish we see something from it soon. We probably won't. Again, I am hella pessimistic when it comes to this, because I have just accepted that when it comes to cool shit, we'll never get it. We're never getting DMC6. We're never getting anything we like. But yeah, that's about all I have to say on this topic. If you disagree with me, if you agree with me, I don't know, leave it in the comments. If you watched all the way through, thank you so damn much. If you really enjoy just hearing me yap, like, subscribe, hit the buttons, do whatever you like. And yeah, I love every single one of you. I hope you have an amazing day or night. And yeah, bye.